Starling unloads one, deep left center. Back to the warning track goes Herrera. Near the wall, it's off the base. Here's Nimmo around third.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shea Station podcast, brought to you by Jomboy Media. It's the home of all your New York Mets updates. You knew that already. That's Jeremy, I'm Jollivee, and we got more Mets talk to talk about today, including yet another series win. I feel like I'm never going to open the episode on a down note at this point.
You can't. Well, you kind of opened it up on a down note for that dud of an opener, Jolliver.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
Knives
you were
are
so
out.
down. I know you
30
had
seconds
you had
in.
COVID, and I know you're fighting back, but I need some energy, Jolly.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to swig
Bring
my
it.
coffee. Take it.
You're
All
all
right, give me that. Give me that.
Here, look, I've got the Shea Station mug.
And you got the new shirt with my face on it.
It's, you know, it's funny. So like my neighbors down the street, there were some drainage issues on the actual street. And so there's a whole bunch of like cement equipment. I've got two little boys that love, you know, very boy stuff. And they're like, oh, sweet. There's like a cement mixer and they're laying new curb because they had to regrade it so the water doesn't sit in front of one of my neighbors' houses.
Okay.
And so this morning I'm out there, and because we're shooting this show, I purposely put this shirt on. It has my face on my own shirt, and I'm carrying my son around. And the whole time I'm like, these guys are like, this guy's wearing a shirt with his own face on it. What a dick.
How conceited do you have to be to promote?
Yeah,
yourself
exactly.
while
And
you
so I
walk
was like, it's a
around?
cool shirt. I still like it, but I realized in public, I'm probably not going to wear a picture of my own face.
That's
wear
why
my
I
own
got
shirt.
like, yeah.
I'll
There's
wear
nothing
like
wrong
the
with the
Shea
merch.
Station promo. Like I'm cool with that. I'll wear the hat if we ever get hats. Rock the mug, but like a picture of myself on my t-shirt, weird. I
think
was
that-
uncomfortable.
That's got to be a show or like a pajama shirt. I got like just the words. So then when I walk around, people are like, wow, he really thinks he's like kind of full of himself. You know, he thinks he's a great human being. It's kind of weird. They don't get the context, but it's okay. It's a nice shirt. You guys should
We need to take like a poll, like a survey. Excuse me, sir, do you have time to answer some questions? There's not enough of that on the streets of New York.
We're going to be bothering a lot of people about our merch. I don't think this is
Can we
going to
just
go over
say
well.
like one of the great blessings about the pandemic is that solicitors on the sidewalk have been fewer and far between. They're not
agree.
just like, do you have time?
I still see them, but they're there.
They don't get in your face as much, and so you
Right.
can definitely avoid that awkward like, no, don't follow me kind of
How
thing.
bad was it when you were playing
Oh,
and living in
my
New York?
goodness.
I bet it was horrible.
Between that and like the, you know, most of the time the on-train entertainment is usually like at least entertaining, but there's a lot of very aggressive, like, give me the monies. And I'm like, all right, now I have a mask on. Oh, just like, no. You don't
And they
make
see
eye
you
contact.
with a shirt on with your face on it. They know that you're filthy
Like,
rich.
this
you
guy's
know?
a jerk. He won't give me anything. Let's
Guys,
get
we're
into
gonna
it.
we're
What a
gonna get
tangent.
into it. We're gonna get into it, but first I gotta tell you about mine and Jerry's good friend for our
Yes.
ad today. It's a company ad. I love company ads. Jomboy Media has a new show, guys, and I've been enjoying it because it's a show about a sport that I didn't know a lot about, and I'm learning about every single time that I listen. It's hosted by our good friend Dan Canobio. Inside Boxing Live is now live on Jomboy Media. In the show, Dan dives into the wild world of boxing. They've had guests like Mike Tyson. I'm sure you've heard of him. Dame Lillard, Ryan Garcia, and Canelo Alvarez. And speaking of Canelo, he just lost in stunning fashion, and his next move is being debated. So whether you're already a boxing fan or you're looking to learn more about boxing in general, this is the show for you. I knew nothing about boxing before I met Dan. Now I still kind of know nothing, but I have surface level knowledge to engage in conversation with. I take a lot of pride in that. New episodes get released every Monday and Thursday, so we'll have a Canelo recap show on Monday. So head over to Jomboy Boxing YouTube channel or any of your favorite podcast apps to check him out. Go ahead, Jerry.
I love boxing, and I met Dan. He was in our Blitzball tournament. And so I started chatting with him. The guy knows his stuff. Like he's my go-to now. Like it's very simple. You know, like if you watch on the app, the MLB app, if you watch the games on there, Ryan Garcia, who he just talked about interviewing, and Dame Lillard are in a Gatorade commercial constantly. Like I see it 50 times, you know, every game. But he's the man. He's really, I mean, he's in a boxing family. Boxing is making an absolute resurgence right now. There's a lot of exciting fighters coming up. And so Canobio's the man. Boxing Live, I think it's If you go to YouTube, Jomboy Boxing, it'll pop up all his
Yeah.
stuff. He's awesome.
Yeah, I really like that. Dan's friends with Dame Lillard, and I've interacted with Donovan Mitchell on Twitter, so it's like we're all friends with NBA stars. It's basically all the same.
Yeah, of course. Yes,
it's all the same. It's all interchangeable. Can't really tell it apart. All right, should we finally talk Mets? It's been like 20 years.
I think so. I think they're ready.
Probably,
I think the people are ready for Mets talk.
I think they're itching. The guy that just hit the 15-second skip just found the spot. He's like, let's go. Perfect.
Yeah, we'll put a little marker for him.
Yeah, sure. We'll make Jack do it. All right, game 1. Mets rolled into D.C. Carlos Carrasco took the hill. He had just tossed 8 terrific innings, and he came back and he had another fantastic start here against the Nationals. 6 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs allowed, 7 hits, no walks as always for Cookie, 5 strikeouts and just the 1 home run on 83 pitches. He lowers his season ERA to 3.17 over 6 starts. The Mets fell behind early in this one, 2-0, and they really couldn't get anything going. They had runners on first and second in the third, fourth, and fifth inning. Couldn't score any of those times, but Jeff McNeil came through with a screaming liner off Josh Bell that he might have been able to field, but we're going to take it. I don't think it counted as an error, so that's cool. He gets 2 runs on that. James McCann punched one to right field to give us a sac fly and a 3-2 lead. And then the Mets bullpen does what they do. Drew Smith has another scoreless inning under his belt. That goes to 13 1/3 innings on the year. That was a perfect 7th inning for him. Joely Rodriguez got a clutch foul flyout from Juan Soto. Soto did not look happy after that at bat. And then Edwin Diaz, who didn't really have full control of his fastball, still worked it, still was beautiful against the Nationals. He gets his 7th save. The Mets win this one 4-2, but they really didn't do a fantastic job offensively. They had a runner on in every inning except the first inning, but only scored 4 runs. They were 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They hit into 2 double plays, but at the end of the day, as long as you beat the teams that you should beat, a win is a win.
Definitely, and game 1 you want to get out, and that brings us to game 2, which is another
always fun
for your boy Jerry here. This was slated to be a pitching beauty, but Tylor Megill didn't have his A stuff. There was some talk about him tipping his pitches, which I think we can cover a little bit later. I think it's true. But the Mets put up 3 in the top of the first off Aaron Sanchez. Pete Alonso out of that DH spot hits a big 2-run home run after Nimmo led off with a double and then scored and then hit a home run. Tylor Megill only goes 1 1/3, gives up 8 runs on 8 hits with 1 walk, only 1 K. Gave up a home run to the aforementioned Juan Soto in the first on a fastball down the middle. And then he gives up 1 to Nelson Cruz in the second on a changeup down the middle. His ERA from this game came in at a 2.43. It exits at a 4.41. So he basically doubled his ERA.
Tough.
That's tough. But after that, the bullpen once again came up clutch. Trevor Williams looked great. Steven Nagosic had 3 innings of no-hit ball, looking fantastic, dialed in better than we've ever seen him. And for his efforts, he gets a quick demotion back to AAA. Thank you very much for your work. But the Mets failed to draw a walk this game, which is surprising. Actually, Aaron Sanchez, after that 3 spot, really looked well. He actually came out of the game after he took a line drive from Pete Alonso, 113 off the bat, hit him in his glove hand, and they took him out. He looked really good. But the Mets actually did hit pretty well. They had 7 hits after the first and didn't score. Nimmo, Alonso, Guillorme all had multiple hits. They actually had a chance for some comebacks. So the game, even though McGill gave up 8 in an inning and a third, there were moments in this game, especially in the 9th, where we're like, hey, are we going to do something amazing? Is this going to be another epic comeback? And they just came up short. But in a game that looked like it was going to be an absolute blowout, to still have opportunities to fight back is the key there.
Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway there. I also, Steven Nagosic was so good in this game. We had heard briefly in the offseason that he had changed up some things about his repertoire. He increased his velocity a little bit. He looked fantastic for 3 2/3 innings. Him and Trevor Williams did a really good job keeping the Mets in the game. We talked a lot about how important Adonis Medina and Chasen Shreve were in the Phillies comeback game. It could have just been the same story here. They really kept them in the game the whole time. We've gotten a lot of great innings out of the kind of the C guys in the Mets bullpen, not the guys that you consider staying on the roster or putting in big spots. And that really just goes to show the depth that this team has behind their guys. It's really cool. So Good on Nogosek. We'll
How would
probably
you
see him
rate?
again
How
soon.
would you rate Nogosek's mustache?
I personally enjoyed it. I wouldn't go that bushy. I like a thinner, more fine mustache, but
Could you personally grow a bushy mustache?
I could try. It wouldn't look fantastic. I feel like it would go over my lips and just look kind of sloppy. Nogosek's was full, and it looked like he could grow a full
it's a full
beard.
Tom Selleck, late 80s, early 90s mustache. It's
I
impressive.
liked it. I was a big fan. I was very impressed with Nogosek. I feel like he has a new character now, a new persona,
Well,
new
yeah, he's
swagger,
had the mustache before.
but not like that. Not like that.
Well, it
Yeah,
looks
come
like
on.
a piece of flair when you're throwing that well.
Exactly. So good for Nogosek. Hopefully we see him again soon. I'm sure we will. Him and Adonis Medina. They've been too good to just stash in AAA forever, along with David Peterson, who's chilling down there too.
Not chilling. He's working, man. Staying lengthened out. Anyway, let's go to game 3.
Game 3. The reason that David Peterson's in AAA is because Taijuan Walker is back and healthy, and he got the bump in Game 3 here, and he was awesome, even though he was battling injuries the entirety of this game. 7 shutout innings for Taijuan Walker, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout on 85 pitches. Things could have got a little hairy in the 4th inning. Juan Soto was on second base with nobody out. And then just a bizarre double play. A ground ball hit to the left side. I think Soto might have thought it was going to go down the line. He ran to third. He gets tagged out by Eddie in a rundown. And then Josh Bell, who hit the ball and got to second base, went to third on an errant throw by Taijuan Walker, but Starling Marte was right there to back it up and gun him down. A very bad display of fundamentals by the Nationals, and that's just kind of how the year has gone for them. Mets offense also wasn't fantastic in this game, except for one man, Mark Canha, who came up clutch in the first inning with a 2-out, 2-run single against Joan Adon. The Mets made him throw 40 pitches in the first, which was nice. Canha also punched a 9th inning home run off Steve Cishek, which was kind of like some nice revenge for the Mets. Cishek was the one that hit Lindor in the face. 6 of the 9 Mets starters go hitless in this game, but Canha goes 3 for 4. He really carries the offense. Diaz came in for the non-save. He allowed a Juan Soto home run. That's kind of just how things go with Juan Soto. I really liked your tweet, which I want you to talk about. But the Mets win the rubber match 4-1. They take another series. They're 9-0-1 in series on the year.
It was a good game, man. Like you said, Canha, we scored what? 4 runs? Is that right? And
yeah, 4 runs.
2 RBI and 2. Yeah, he had 2 RBI, 3 RBI, 2 runs scored. Like he was a part of every single thing. It was amazing. Yep. Taijuan Walker, he's not really. You talked about him battling injuries, allegedly, because he does not reveal anything. He will not tell you any secrets. He keeps them at close to his vest there. I think he was battling a little bit of a more, not injury. I would say he was uncomfortable. Maybe a stiff back. Maybe he just was tight. He would look like his hamstrings, lower back, somewhere around that area. He just wasn't feeling great. But he looked great. He didn't have his pitching line is kind of like how the Mets have been doing it. Like there's a lot of talk about the Mets exit velocity being down from the offensive standpoint, but they're just taking advantage. You shift them, they're hitting the ball the other way. McGill, Nimmo, all these guys are doing it. I feel like Taijuan Walker and his lack of punch outs lately is kind of that same thing where if you see his line, you're like, oh, only 1 strikeout. He must be getting lucky because they're putting the ball in play. It's just not going anywhere. No, he's getting weak contact by design. He's keeping hitters off balance. He's throwing that good splitty in the zone when he needs to. He looks great. I'm very, very impressed with his outing. 7 strong, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 punchy. I thought he did great.
Yeah,
made some plays defensively.
He's just the type of guy that I think like Baseball Savant probably doesn't like because of that exact thing that you mentioned. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but his soft contact percentage is 12.3 right now, which is about where it was last year, and that's really just what's given him success. So I don't think you need to change the formula.
I agree. So I want to cover 2 things. I want to talk about Tylor Megill and Edwin Diaz in the 9th. I'll do Diaz first because it's very simple. So if you remember earlier in the season, Edwin Diaz gave up a solo home run to Mr. Juan Soto on a fastball away. He just hit it away. It blooped into the stands. Not a big deal. Understanding that they have a 4-run lead in the game. Juan Soto's up. Can't hurt him. The only way you can hurt him is if he just puts him on and then it starts to change.
Yep.
So he's battling him. He didn't throw him one slider. He's throwing hard. He's trying to get him out. He threw 101, 100, 100.5, and he leaves one a little bit middle, and Soto crushes it, sitting fastball. But guess what? It's now 4-1. Juan Soto is not there anymore, and now you have the rest of the team. I think it's purposeful, and I think it's Diaz and Hefner and Buck Showalter all coming together and understanding that later on in the season, Juan Soto is going to come up in a bigger situation where it's a one-run game and there's runners on second and third or bases loaded, and Diaz is going to have to attack him. So he's saving his bullets. He's saving that slider for a moment in the season when he really needs to go to it. Whereas before, you would think Edwin Diaz is just trying to strike everybody out. He understands like his numbers are what they are. He's just trying to do it. But I think he's really thinking big picture here on a season and saying, I don't need to show him everything. I don't need to show him my whole hand here because this is a war and I don't have to win this battle. He can have this one if need be. I'm still going to try to get him out with my 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but I don't need to show him like all my tricks. And so I think he let that one get away on purpose. Not just didn't obviously want to give up a home run, but I think he backed off of his A stuff and that slider, which he would normally go to there for a punch out, simply because he knows he's going to face him in a bigger spot.
Yeah, I really like that point. It's kind of something that you never think about when you're watching these games live as a fan. You kind of only think of like the immediate results and like, oh, I guess Edwin was off today. But no, there is probably a game plan in line there. And I think that the Mets knew that going in, putting in Diaz in a non-save situation, that the stakes were low. Obviously, you don't let things get away from you in the moment, but when it's 2 outs, nobody on, and you have Juan Soto up, he can't beat you, is the general consensus there. So I really like that point. I'm pretty sure Edwin Diaz was factoring that in now because his slider has looked unhittable this season, and you don't want to give guys...
And it was unhittable in that inning. And he
Exactly.
shook away from it, too. He said, no, I want to throw this.
Yeah.
So I've done that before in my career when I'm facing, especially when I'm coming in, when the game's not on the line, I'm facing a guy, I'm going to try to get him out with something that's different. That way, when I come to face him in a bigger situation, I can get him out the way I want to. But in his head, he's like, he got me out on this pitch last time. I might be looking for that, which, just adds a bonus to when it really counts. And in that situation, it didn't. I really do think as power stuff as Diaz has, I think he's playing a little bit of chess in a complex world here. And I love to see it.
It's a long season, man, and Diaz is going to be the guy at the end for the entirety of it. So I like that point a lot.
So let's get on Tylor Megill and the possibility of him tipping his pitches. So I took a little bit of a deeper dive. I'm not used to this technology to where, like if I were still playing, I'd go into the clubhouse and I could break it down, slow-mo, different camera angles, and I can actually watch the pitches a little bit. I had to do it like in a different way, look at Baseball Savant, all that stuff. So I can't tell you for sure if he's tipping or not, but I really do think he was on that. I think they had something on his changeup in particular because they teed off on it. And when it was a good one, they spit on it. Or even when it was a good one, they went down and got it because they knew it was going to be an off-speed pitch. And when you have one of your pitches, all the other ones kind of fall into place because you can guess like, all right, I know it's not a changeup. So if it's a fastball, it's going to stay. If it's that slider, I know what it looks like. So if I can eliminate that one pitch, you can take a peek at the other ones.
Right.
Plus he just was throwing a lot of pitches middle. I think he saw that he was getting hit around a little bit. I think he tried to reach back and use stuff versus location. And he got beat up a little bit, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously it's not great, but these are learning situations. And I think he's going to be a better pitcher in the long run after that, because he's going to be like, I still have to pitch. I'm going to learn. You're going to get your lumps. And he's going to sew up his mechanics, however he was tipping his pitches. Cause I promise you that the whole Mets staff is dedicated to helping him figure this out because he's such a major piece of their success. But I really do think they had something on him, and it snowballed with him trying to overpower versus, take advantage of that. If they know you're throwing a fastball, throw it 2 inches off the plate in or 2 inches off the plate away, because if they're guessing and they guess right, it's really hard for a hitter to say, I'm right, but also not swing. So you can take advantage of guys that guess and guess right. So there's ways that he could have battled out of it, but now he knows he's a better pitcher today because of how bad he did the other
Yeah,
day.
I liked some of the points you made there. It's not like his velocity was gone. He touched 98 in this game, so it's not like he was missing something there. I think what really pointed it out for me was Keibert Ruiz both at the plate and on the base paths. Ruiz swung, I think, first pitch on a changeup way below the zone and just dunked it into right field, barreled it perfectly. So either, great approach to hitting, took a guessed correctly, or he knew a changeup was coming, like we mentioned. And then Keibert straight steal on the changeup later. First stolen base of the year, not really something you'd see from a catcher. So those were kind of alarming points for me. Also, the Nats have some great hitters. Like Juan Soto saw a mistake, made him pay. Nelson Cruz did the same thing. He's been doing that for years. And I think what you mentioned before was important. Like, McGill can learn a lot from an outing like this. I think he was trying to overcompensate, attack the zone, get outs quickly to try and get himself deeper in the outing, because if you remember versus the Giants, he struggled really early on and then found it later in the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning, was able to turn in a pretty good outing. This time around, I think that strategy doesn't work just because of whatever the Nats have on you or their approach is just working that day. But McGill will learn from this. He's a great pitcher. I think that he wasn't going to be perfect all year long. He had an ERA below 2 in April. That wasn't going to stick. But still, pretty alarming.
Yeah, I am not worried at all. We're going to look for a bounce back his next outing. We're hoping he's going to have, his A stuff. He's going to go back to just dominating. But I'm truly not worried. If he's tipping his pitches again, I'll be worried. If they haven't made an adjustment there, that'll be a worry. But he's gonna. I mean, this is the big leagues. You're gonna get hit around a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Just he threw a lot of pitches down the middle as well. So that's gonna be tough no matter how good your stuff is.
But saving grace of this entire series is that the Mets really did not use their bullpen, even in a series where Tylor Megill went 1 1/3 inning. They threw 2 innings yesterday between, I think, Diaz and Lugo. And then in game 1, it was Drew Smith, Joe Ellie, and Diaz again. So, I mean, Chase and Shreve didn't throw a pitch. Adam Ottavino didn't throw a pitch. Now you have these guys fully rested for the weekend, thanks to Nogosic and Trevor Williams. So good on them.
Lugo looked great, too, by the way.
Lugo did look great. He looks like his confidence is totally back. That curveball is spinning like it usually does. It's nice to say.
Nice to say. So that's good to see. Correct.
We got some team notables. Mark Canha, who was the star of the last game, he's 9 for 28 with 10 RBIs with runners in scoring position this year, so he's been clutch. Really like to see him more in the middle of the lineup like he was in Game 3 there. Brandon Nimmo, very quietly with a 23-game on-base streak. That's kind of what Nimmo does day in and day out. And we just mentioned that terrific Mets bullpen. Over their last 6 games, 21 in the 3rd innings, 23 strikeouts, 1 earned run. Their ERA of 3.27 is actually lower than Mets starters now. The whole story was that the Mets had this fantastic rotation, but with the Tylor blowup shooting that number up in the Mets bullpen, how good they've been, they're actually lower now, 3.27 to 3.30. And then a fun little tidbit I found from Anthony DiComo. The Mets have 54 infield hits on the season, 19 more than any other team. You talked about the exit velocity thing, the BABIP, how people were like, oh, the Mets are going to regress. No, I think the team is just beating out the grounders they should, hitting it where they're not, and that's a really good approach.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's again, that's a lot more, if you're trading the hit by pitches for infield hits, I'm not sure how you feel. They're both wins if you're talking about on-base percentage. But if you're not watching the game, there's a lot of red flags for this team's success. And if you are watching the games, you're seeing it. Like Marte beats out an infield single. That's what he does. He's super fast.
And then the kick starts a 7-run rally. So
yeah, and if you shift a guy, say you're shifting Nimmo from the left side, and he just shifts little bloops one to the shortstop, and the shortstop has to run over and get it and doesn't make a throw, that's an infield hit. But it's by design.
How Game 3 started. He hit one down the left field line and no one was there, and he turned it into a double.
Got into the outfield for a double. Right. But if somebody dives and makes that play but doesn't get to throw, that's considered an infield hit. It is what it is. But these guys are doing it on purpose. It's purposeful. They're handling the bat. They're playing pepper. It's awesome to see. We haven't seen this style of hitting in a long time. We're seeing how effective. This is the Jeff McNeil approach to almost the whole team, even Pete. Alonso's crushing the ball.
A lot.
Yes, but he'll go the other way when there's an RBI opportunity and the team shifted him. I did make a note for Mr. Pete Alonso, the first baseman. As a DH, here's his line. He only has 9 games as a DH.
Okay.
He's batting .314, a .385 on base percentage, slugging .800.
Oh my!
His OPS as a DH is .1185. His OPS as a first baseman in, I think, 24 games is .726. Significantly lower.
Jerry with the research, kind of like that.
Because he's been absolutely mashing the ball as a DH. I think 5 of his 8 home runs are as a DH in only 9 games.
I want to ask you, did you see the report that Buck is having Mark Canha take reps at first base?
I have, because he's played there before, and it's like if he starts playing first base, what would happen to the outfield if Canha plays some first base?
So McNeil would play left, and then Guillorme would probably play second, and that would be every day. Guillorme's been hitting well, so I mean, I get where
I'm not sure. I love Guillorme as a player. I'm not sure his body, he's willing to, or he's capable of playing every day for a long stretch. But he's hitting now.
Yeah.
So is this, you think Canha playing first base is to get Guillorme in the lineup every day?
I think it's exactly what you said.
Often?
I think it's to get Alonso in the DH spot. I think that these guys are aware of those splits. I wasn't aware how drastic the splits were. A 400-point difference in OPS is enormous.
Yeah.
And normally you'd think like, oh, you have Dom to play first base, but Dom, it's been a struggle. A lot of people are at the point where they think they're going to cut Dom. I don't think that's going to happen because they just made the effort to cut Cano. So I don't think Dom's going anywhere, at least for another couple months. They're going to stretch him out as much as they can. But Canha going to first, that's really interesting because when you have McNeil going to left, like Canha usually gets those days off, but Canha, I feel like he's a guy you can play every day. He's batting .300. He's this on-base machine. His numbers with runners in scoring position have been fantastic. He's a guy I want in there every day. And I understand that Guillorme gives you a plus defender at second base, and he has been hitting well, which is uncharacteristic of him. So Buck does have a lot of options, and I think he's expanding the lineup even more, which is crazy to me.
Canha can't play every day. He should be playing every day. That's what you signed him to do. That's what he's doing successfully. I'm checking his career positions here.
His career fielding?
So he's played in 106 games at first base in his career.
Yeah,
in the big leagues.
That's a pretty decent sample size.
Yeah, that is, and he's hit .278 with a .470 slug. You know, he's done well. I mean, he's even got 3 games at third base, like emergency. Yeah. The guy can play. He can play first base. And he rakes. So if whatever Buck it wants you to do, just in case, he's thinking of scenarios that there's no way. He's way smarter than us. He sees something that we don't. He's preparing for something. Canha having the ability to stay sharp at first base because it's just in his back pocket is that could be it too. He just wants him to do it. But I wouldn't be shocked to see it. And before we move on from Canha, I wanted to talk about Dom. There's no way they're going to cut Dom. Dom is still a trade piece. If they want to trade him, they'll trade him. They'll put him back on the chopping block. But they're not making a move drastic anytime soon.
I just think that the clock is ticking now.
Might be,
on Dom. I think they made him a little comfortable before, and now it's ticking a little bit because J.D. Davis's at-bats have been good. I think he's getting a lot of tough luck, hitting a lot to just where fielders are, but his approach has been good. His peripherals are through the roof. Baseball Savant really loves J.D., and I think that if you put Canha at first, then you have Alonso DHing. When Alonso's not DHing, it's probably J.D. there, so then where does Dom fit? And that's
becoming on the bench as a
pinch hitter.
Him and Guillorme take a little swap. That's fine.
Yeah,
this is the big leagues, man. You tried to make it work, and I understand Dom's position of wanting to play every day because you have some leverage in certain situations. But he's a member of this ball club proudly and happily. And he's trying to help the team win. If that's not in the everyday lineup, you suck it up and you do what you have to do. And then if the next year comes up, then you try to battle for that everyday kind of job. But this is where you are. If you're not going to be a team player, no other team is going to want you to come in and be ruffle feathers, and Dom knows that. And so I don't think Dom's upset with his playing time. He understands what's happening. He gets it. It's a meritocracy. You gotta do it, man.
Wow.
It's based off of production.
Jerry, meritocracy. Look at you.
Isn't that the dream, though? Don't you want everything in this world to be based off of your actual production? And this is, for the most part, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into baseball where, your draft capital, what guy likes you. And then once you get up here, you have to perform. Those stats that go on the back of your baseball card, those are the real deal. That's who you are as a player. And if you're not good, you can't be mad.
Dom is 1 for 18 since the 4-for-4 game that many presume might have saved his job. So I think the clock is ticking. We're rooting for Dom, but
he went 4 for 4. They released Cano. He got that standing ovation, hit a double, and then he's 0 for 17.
Yeah, just about. He has 4 starts since then, and 3 0 for 4s, 1 for 4. That was the double. A couple pinch hits there as well.
So 0 for since that first hit.
It's a tough look.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a small sample size again, and it's streaky. You see this a lot, and so I'm not worried about Dom's position on the team.
But that's the thing, though, the streakiness. Like, this is a very consistent Mets team that has a formula for success in getting on base, and they can't afford to have any hole in that lineup, any trip to that Knicks formula, Yeah,
but what are you going to do? Replace him with another guy that doesn't get much playing time, that's not as good at first base,
I mean, Mark Vientos is raking in AAA right now.
He's never faced big league pitching at all, and you're going to come up and you're just going to throw him out there?
Listen, I'm a big Vientos guy. I'm getting excited about him.
I like Vientos as well, but it's really hard to get a young guy involved in a team that's ready to win and trying to win now, because you don't want to start his clock too early, and you don't want him to come up and sit on the bench. If if an injury happens and he's going to get significant at bats, then you can call him up. But if he's just going to be a piece, then, he's too valuable to not get regular at-bats to learn to get that experience. So you're in a tough position. I know a lot of teams have been doing it lately. And if you look around the league, there's a lot of really young guys that came up really early that are struggling. And the league is struggling in general and offensively, but a lot of it is just lack of experience, man. There's some seasoning that needs to happen for a lot of young hitters, because pitchers are very good at this level, and you need to see it more often. And you don't want to have failure your first taste of the big leagues, because all of a sudden you realize that, you're vulnerable and you're not Superman. And a lot of young guys have never felt that before, and baseball will humble you. And on the big league stage, when there's microphones in your face every day, some people can disappear with that.
Yeah. And we do have a guy coming to town this weekend who is very familiar with that early stage of failure. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Before we get to that, though, we got to tell you about another one of our sponsors for this episode, because you guys know this by now, but Shea Station has gone Hollywood. We're sellouts. We get ads now. It's whatever, guys. Greg Morris Cards. More baseball cards for you guys. It's the most trusted sports card seller on the planet. Greg Morris Cards sells over 80,000 sports cards every month, over 2,000 a day, exclusively on eBay. Over 1 million cards last year in 2021. GMC is known for selling vintage cards, but we also sell modern cards. All of today's stars: Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, plus all the hot young players too, like Spencer Torkelson, Bobby Witt Jr., Yordan Alvarez, and more. There's free combined shipping when you order 2 or more cards, and a lot of people trust GMC. Greg Morris and his team hand grade every card they sell. Buyers have been trusting GMC for years, and if Greg says the card is mint, you know the card is mint. I like that a lot. Very confident ad copy here. So go to gregmorriscards.com to see their inventory, and follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to see exclusive content for deals. And this month only, when you check out, send them a message through eBay saying you heard about GMC through Jomboy, and get $5 off your order of $50 or more. That's gregmorriscards.com. Very cool.
Greg Morris or Greg Norris?
Greg Morris, not like Chuck Norris, not his brother.
Like Jack Morris.
Like Jack Morris. I don't think they're related, though.
Okay. Well, you don't know that.
He's got to have a Jack Morris card, right? Come on.
That's true. He's probably got a few.
Pitcher of the 80s.
How do you want to do this? I know you're going to go rankings. Do you want to do the apple first? Apple of
Apple
our eye?
first.
Let's
Apple
do it.
first. Apple
The
first.
apple of our eye. That's right.
Just imagining the sound effect.
You go first.
Me?
You do it. You let me
Crazy.
go first every time. It's your turn.
I'm a protector of the show juju, but if you want to switch
me to
it
go
up
again? All right.
I mean, listen, the Mets have been winning every series.
I know.
If they change up the formula, it's our fault.
So it's all about you. The apple of my eye is going to be a pitcher today, and it's Mr. Taijuan Walker.
Much deserved.
Taijuan Walker in the rubber match, overcoming what looked like some uncomfort or discomfort in his back, which is, it's not completely out of the norm to see a guy get heat packs in between innings. Either way, the guy in a clutch situation needing to win the game, to win the series, which is what you want to do. He went 7 strong, gave up 0 earned runs and on 3 hits. He looked good. He was strong and confident. You just feel good about him being on the mound. By the way, Juan Soto found out real quick that you don't run into a guy that's that big.
Oh, no.
And did you hear Taijuan after the game? I loved his post-game interview. They asked him about it. And he said, to be honest, like about Soto sliding into him like that, he goes, it made me a little mad because he didn't expect it because he was nowhere near the base.
You're 5 feet from third base.
Kind of hold up. So he got lit up a little bit. Soto, you don't want to run into a linebacker. He is a big boy.
And the standing over him, hulking over him like that. I get why he was mad, though. Why are you getting spiked 10 feet from third base?
Correct.
There's no reason for it.
He got ran into, and that's not something you do. It wasn't Bush League, and it wasn't bad, but it just happened.
No.
But Taijuan Walker, 7 strong, no earned runs in a must-win rubber match against a team that you should beat up. He allowed the Mets to do that. So,
yeah.
Thank you to Mr. Taijuan. Golf club.
Absolutely deserved. I feel like that was a 4th inning that could have got away from him very easily, especially with Josh Bell's hit that came after. But no, I think that lit a fire under him, and I liked it a lot. I mean, obviously, I don't want him to get spiked because he's already injured on the day. But.
And Starling Marte backing up. This is what's happening. This is a Buck Showalter thing, but it's also Marte's that kind of guy anyway. This is what he does. If you're a youth coach or you have a kid that's playing baseball and he wants to play outfield or just anything, this is why you pay attention to the game. Starling Marte, understand what's going on. A lot of fielders will just like stand there. He went, just in case this ball gets thrown away, he's there. He knew how far away to be just in case the ball goes left or right. That is the key. You see the catcher sprinting on an infield, like a ground ball to shortstop. He's sprinting down the first baseline to back up. 99 times he's not going to get to that ball's going to be fine. He's going to just look like he's wasting energy. But that one time the ball gets away, he's going to slide, make that play. That runner that just got an infield hit or on an error is going to make a move towards second base. And the catcher's right there. Just heads up baseball, just team baseball. Beautiful thing to see. The Mets have been doing it all year. I love it. As a fan of the game that gets to watch it, those types of things would make me mad. That it's not happening because it's laziness and it's a lack of focus organizationally to not enforce that. And for me to see it, I love it.
I heard a lot of talk this offseason about the Mets are getting all these old guys, all these guys that are past their prime, whatever. Those veteran moves, like they save you runs. They help you escape bad situations, and that was a perfect example right there. So I really like that you pointed out Starling Marte there. For my apple, let's see. I got some choices. Brandon Nimmo had a really nice weekend. Pete Alonso hit another home run. Jeff McNeil did his usual thing, slapping the ball around, drew a couple walks. I'm also going to go with a Game 3 hero, and I'm going to give it to Mark Canha. Canha had a fat 0 for 5 in the first game, kind of a tough look. He sat out Game 2, and then he was the sole offensive proprietor in Game 3. He had a 3 for 4 game, home run, 3 RBIs, couple runs scored there for Mr. Canha. He was very clutch in that game. I feel like I've been seeing him not play all 3 games of a series too often this year. I feel like he gets an off day here and there, which is totally fine. We saw Eddie sit in Game 3. He's been struggling a little bit. But Mark Canha is a guy that can play every day. He's a guy that's batting over 300. He's been an on-base guy forever. We see him get some reps at first base now. I think Buck is finally waking up to the fact that, hey, this is maybe a guy that could benefit from playing every day, could really benefit this lineup. I mentioned it a bunch of times that he's like a second Brandon Nimmo in there. But when he punches a home run to left field, it kind of takes that to a whole new level. Mark Canha is a guy you paid to come here and play every day, and I think that improving his versatility is going to be a huge benefactor for the Mets in the long run. And I just love his approach to an at-bat. I love that earlier in the series, Gary Cohen pointed out that even though Canha's succeeding, he's changing his approach to hitting because he doesn't think it's sustainable. I think that's such a veteran thing to do. And like I said before, we heard a lot of talk about how, the Mets are getting all these old guys from across the league. I'm a huge fan of it. These guys know what they're capable of. They know how to succeed, and they know the important fundamentals of baseball. And I think Mark Canha is a huge encapsulator of that. And he had a great last game that really carried the Mets offense. The Mets might have lost their first series of the year, if not for Mark Canha and Taijuan Walker. So I think they're very deserving of our apples this time around.
Love that. Love Canha. He's such a pro, and he is an old guy. So it's nice to see him getting some days off, because it's hard to run around the field the whole time, all day, get locked in at the plate, take 10 swings. He takes so many swings because he fouls everything off. Like his at bats go deep. So that's how this is a win every game, but also don't empty the tank every day. It's kind of it's a weird thing to do, especially in May. But this is how you have to approach it. So I like it.
All right, guys, before we tell you about next series, I want to just check in with how the Mets are doing around the league, because I think, we have a lot of great performers this year. We got to highlight them. Give them a little shout out.
I'm going to do, you want like a little cool intro? We do the little music for Apple of Our Eyes. Sure. Rankings Roundup.
Whoa. A little
How about
PA
that?
There.
We're doing a rankings roundup. I love it. Brilliant, jolly, because you want to see just kind of where our guys are slotting in across the league. So
exactly. Big Jeff McNeil fan club here. You guys know that. His .321 batting average, fourth in the National League, 1.4 Fangraphs WAR, that's tied for fifth. Brandon Nimmo doing his usual on-base thing. A .413 on-base percentage is fourth in the NL. 16.4 walk percentage is through the roof. That's third in the National League. Pete Alonso is slugging .508. That's 12th in the NL. And Nimmo, McNeil, and Alonso, they've been the big three of the Mets lineup. They all rank in the top dozen in the National League for weighted runs created plus. That's sort of like OPS plus. Then over on the pitching side of things, Chris Bassett has been the ERA leader for the club so far. 2.45 is 10th in the National League. Max Scherzer, who we know as a huge strikeout king, he has a 34.3 strikeout percentage against batters this year. Second in the National League, only to Carlos Rodon, who the Mets saw and got dominated by a little bit. Carlos Carrasco, who's been controlling the zone and attacking hitters, he has a 4.1 walk percentage, which is fourth in the National League. His 1.01 whip is 11th in the NL. And then Scherzer and Bassett are matching in whip as well, 0.95, keeping it below 1, which is always really nice. That's both ridiculous. Tied for eighth.
To have a sub-1 whip is stupid. That is
exactly.
Crazy. Yeah,
exactly. I do feel bad for Tylor Megill because he was high in a lot of rankings before this weekend.
I don't feel bad. He's okay.
He'll be fine. He'll be back, guys.
He doesn't need to be in the rankings roundup.
He'll be
okay. He can come back.
Yeah. I'm gonna get Jack to blow up your voice. Ranking roundup.
I love
really
it.
Echoey. You like that?
I do.
So yeah, that's where our Mets stand. They got two three-headed monsters offensively and on the pitching side of things. So it's really cool to see, and, just keep trucking along. Jeff McNeil, keep hitting the ball where they're not. Brandon Nimmo, draw your walks. Keep doing your thing, guys.
So here we are. We're going to do some series preview. The Seattle Mariners, they made big splash. Last year, they were like the MLB darlings trying to make the playoffs for the first time in since 2001, correct?
Yeah, 2001.
2001, since Ichiro Suzuki's rookie year when he won MVP Rookie of the Year. They haven't made the playoffs since. They won 90 games last year and didn't make the playoffs. They tried to make it, and so they made some big splashes. Went out and got AL Cy Young winner Robbie Ray. They called up their big guys. So here's just kind of what you're looking at. So they got Adam Frazier from the Pirates. He's hitting 325. JP Crawford, they got a couple of years ago from the Phillies. He's raking. He's hitting 333. But they made a big trade for Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez from the Reds. Winker hasn't been that guy for them that they expect and want. He's hitting 204. Suarez is hitting 202. Not exactly ideal. Julio Rodriguez, the number one prospect in all of baseball, this giant of a center fielder, runs, complete five-tool guy. He's 21 years old. He's going to be a superstar in this league. Everybody anticipates it. Baseball is baseball, not fail safe, but he looks the part. So you're going to want to watch that guy play. He's hitting 250. He's got 10 stolen bases already. It's wild. That's a lot.
And he started off slow, and he's really coming
Super
around
slow.
these last 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
watch out. He's hot right now.
Speaking of slow starts, ex-Met minor leaguer, Mr. Jared Kelenic.
Yeah.
A big part of that Edwin Diaz deal. Everybody's waiting to see if these two face each other, which would be kind of cool. He's 22 now. He's got some, some staying power. He's struggling mightily. Maybe one of the worst hitters in the game. He's batting 140, slugging 291. He's got an OPS of 509. Not ideal. He would probably have been optioned down had Mitch Haniger not gotten hurt. So they really don't have the depth. So that's it. On the pitching side, we have a couple more ex-Mets. You have Mr. Chris Flexen, who came up, and he's been pitching well for them for a couple of years. We won't face him this series, but he looked great. And then you have old Paul Sewald, old Mets friend, who burst onto the scene in a big way last year, became one of their guys down the stretch, had an absolutely dominant season. He's pitching pretty well. He's got a 3.86 ERA, 9 1/3, 10 strikeouts. We'll definitely see him in this 3-game series, I don't doubt. But let's get to the series probable.
Mm-hmm.
Here we
Tell
are
me about it.
coming into town to face Mr. Max Scherzer is Marco Gonzalez. Pretty good pitcher, 3.91. Starling Marte is 2 for 4 with a homer off Gonzalez. Adam Frazier on the other side of things is 7 for 20 with the home run off Mr. Scherzer. Marco has had 2 blow-up starts and 3 quality starts in his young season. Kind of been, flip of a coin on what you're going to get. Scherzer hasn't been his absolute dominant self the last 2 starts, but we're looking for him to bounce back. In game 2, we have Chris Bassett, who played against these Mariners for quite a long time in the AL West. Against George Kirby. This is another one of their big moves the Seattle Mariners made. George Kirby is a top prospect for them from the pitching side. He made his debut last start, went 6 innings, gave up no runs, 4 hits, no walks, and 7 Ks against the Rays. Absolute dominant. Let's beat this guy up, teach him a little humility in his second start in the big leagues. Bassett versus Philly, his last outing, went 5 2/3, gave up that 1 earned run, 5 hits, 4 Ks. He got the W. So this brings into game 3, Carlos Carrasco Cookie coming off a stellar outing in his 3.19 ERA against reigning AL Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray in his 4.22 ERA. Eddie Escobar is 3 for 4 with 2 bombs and 5 RBI versus Ray. Some good numbers in a small sample size. Cookie has had back-to-back great outings in those 2. He's 14 2/3 innings pitched with 2 runs, 2 walks, and 10 punchies. Ray has yet to have a scoreless start, hasn't gone over 7 since opening day, and he's allowed 6 homers on the year. Let's hope the Mets tee off. Let's sweep these guys at home. Just take a nice deep breath and punch out some Mariners. Very
nice series looking, Jerry. Couple things I want to say.
Yes.
1, Jared Kelenic. This is a big series for Kelenic. I think that a lot of Mets fans have a lot of feelings towards Kelenic, a lot of animosity. I personally don't, because I love Edwin Diaz, and I have since 2020. I've always been big on Diaz. It's a huge moment in recent Mets history, this trade. It will always be talked about until these players don't play anymore, and even beyond, because of what Robinson Cano's contract did to this team. At the same time, Kyle Lewis is recovering from injury now, so when he comes back, it'll likely be Kelenic that goes down.
So Kelenic, Kyle Lewis, that's a good call.
Yeah, Kelenic, he has a big spot in his shoulders, kind of similar to Dom, where the Mariners have a guy coming in and a spot to free up. So it's likely him right now. The target's on his back, but this would be a good way to make a statement. These Mariners that are hovering around 500, they are much, much more talented than that. The Mets are luckily dodging Logan Gilbert, who's been awesome this season. So that's really good for them. George Kirby is a huge curveball for me. I don't know much about him. I just saw his one start, and he looked filthy, so I am worried about him.
He's a big prospect that they called up. They're trying to win, man. They have big aspirations. They're falling behind in the AL West because the Angels look legit with noted Mets legend and hero on Twitter of Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah.
and Shohei and the Angels look good, and then the Astros are looking great as well. So the Mariners have an uphill battle.
Yeah, I don't think the Mariners were counting on the Angels being this good. I really did think it was going to be a two-horse race out there. So this is an important series for them. They're kind of reeling right now, and they need a series win. They haven't gotten a lot of them this year. That Bassett versus Kirby matchup is going to be quite the pitcher's duel. I think that Robbie Ray, he's good. He's a great pitcher. I don't know if he'll be Cy Young again. The home runs are kind of coming up to bite him again. I think he held them at bay last year. This year it's coming back a little bit. The Mets do have good sample sizes against him, but that's not really the new Robbie Ray. That's the Robbie Ray of old, so it's a whole different beast now. But I'm really looking forward to the series. It's been kind of on my mind since the season began. It's always kind of been circled in my calendar because I personally, I don't have a lot of ill will against the Mariners, but I know a lot of Mets fans do, and they really want this series to be the one.
There should be no ill will. And I hope that Kelenic doesn't get like a weird booing treatment because the guy didn't do anything.
I think he's going to get booed.
I think he's going to get booed?
Yep. I think 100% Kelenic is going to get booed.
Did he say anything against the Mets? The kid was an A-ball, wasn't he, when he got traded? All.
He's just symbolic of the trade, so he's going to get booed.
Well, if anything,
I would put money on it.
How good has Edwin Diaz been?
He's been terrific, and I think that it's bizarre that the trade still gets brought up as much as it does, but I would bet the house. I would bet the everything I got.
I want to make an actual bet against you that he gets booed because I don't think he's going to get booed.
How much you want to put on it? I'll put $50.
$50?
I'll put $50.
You buy. So we're gonna be going to a game soon,
right?
We'll be at the game on the 1st. I'll buy your food and beer if he gets booed, and you buy mine if he doesn't.
I'm shaking your hand.
Are we talking? Let's. I want to make this clear. Well, I'm talking like legit boo,
like an audible boo through the
an
SNY
actual
telecast.
Like kind of. You can tell that they came out and booed him.
Yes,
I'll be surprised.
I'm banking on it.
Food.
I wouldn't. I'm shaking on it right now, but I wouldn't. But I think it's going to happen for sure.
I have a hard time thinking that the Mets fans are going to boo. That he didn't have anything. He's zero. Hasn't said a bad word about the Mets.
Nope.
And he's struggling, and it has nothing to do with the team anymore. But we'll see.
We'll see, man. I like that. Fun little bet.
I do. I like it. I like it. Cool, man.
Yeah. Really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a good set. Hopefully the Mets continue that winning streak, man. This would be a tough
Scherzer
team.
Dominate. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I want to see Scherzer come out, has had some time off, and dominate. So
yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it.
I think so too.
Nice ep.
All right. Good work.
Pretty cool. All right, guys. We will see you on Monday to recap hopefully another series win against these Mariners. Hopefully we can push it to 10-0-1. That'd be pretty cool, huh?
10-0-1, and we got a tie in a 4-game series.
Yeah.
All right, man.
We'll see. All right, guys. We will see you Monday. Take care. Thanks for listening to Shea Station, and let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.